I was live and something happened.
Mm-hmm.
See? End stream. I was actually live.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I wasn't. Okay. Hello. You can hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lag.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, hello. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And eventually, you will catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Yay! Applause, applause. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Et moi, très bien. My French lessons are going well, although I did watch not someone, I watched Trakan playing. You know, I'm really going to have to learn the etiquette on Twitch and Mixer so that I can actually help, and contribute to the community of Minecolonies people. But that is a new thing for me. This is all new. So I'm going to change my view right now. Yes, there we go. And ooh, I think I have a doppelganger or a slender. I just saw someone appear and then disappear. Interesting. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Merci. Merci. So it's nighttime. I'm actually going to go up to one of the suites. This is City Hall, and I'm going to go up to one of the suites and sleep so that we can have this tour in the daytime. And I'm lagging a little bit, so please excuse me for that. But let's see what I can get going here. And there it goes. All right. So you might hear the hum of the fan, but that is going to make sure that we're not lagging. So this is one of the hospitality suites in the hotel. In the City Hall. I am in City Hall. And this suite has a view of the harbor. And so we can see Omo Harbor. That green topped building is actually the warehouse. And beyond that, the red topped buildings are guard towers. But we're going to go down and I'm going to actually, I'm actually going to walk. I'm going to walk through the city. So, hold on. This is new for me. I'm just going to walk through the city and show you things. So, here we go. And I'm sorry for the stuff at the beginning. This is Fortune's restaurant. We haven't been in a while, so I'm going to go in Fortune's restaurant. Fortune is there. It's morning. Some people will probably come in to be fed. We're using Mr. Crayfish Furniture Mod to make some small changes in and some big changes in my Minecolony. And so this is the kitchen in the medieval spruce restaurant, which I love. And Fortune is the owner chef of this restaurant. And this is her upstairs dining area with this little balcony that looks out over City Hall. So we can see City Hall right there. And we close the doors. And she has intimate seating over here. And this is her pretty place. So we're going to just go down the street here. We have we have the next building, which used to belong to Jacob. Jacob was one of the original 4 colonists, and he was actually killed in a construction accident, and Madison took over his builder's um, offices. But what happened was she was called over to the waterfront to do some projects over there. So she began, she actually has a builder's office on the waterfront because she was spending so much time over there. We kept this hut because she may come back and work on projects on this side of the city, so we kept it. And I think we kept it for historical reasons because it was Jacob's and he is gone. So this is what the upstairs looks like. We actually modified the upstairs specifically for Madison when she moved in so that she would feel more comfortable. This was something that I just started doing recently with this builder's building, and that is to be able to put a little kitchen on this stairwell part. It's perfect space for putting those counters in and having them be able to have some coffee, a place for coffee. So I just noticed, and this is one of the projects that we are working on right now, and this is something that we did during the week. Linda, who has her builder's offices in the desert, she is working on a new Enchanting Tower for the University of Omo. This is the University of Omo right here. And this Enchanting Tower is going to be their magical arts center where they're going to study magical arts from the dungeons below. So they're going to go to the dungeons below and collect artifacts. But this is actually an Acacia magical arts tower, and when she is finished, when Linda is finished with the level 5 of this tower, what we are going to do is we're going to bring the land back. We're actually going to put these stairs in a stairwell and bring the land back around it. But the stairs are actually going to go down 10 more, almost exactly 10 more to here, because this is the hallway to the original dungeon that was here when we started this city. And this is the staircase that is no longer here, that went up to the original tower, which is no longer there as well. But the dungeon's still here, and we will be able, our citizens will be able to actually explore this once the magical arts tower is finished. So that is what we are, that is one of the things that we're working on. So I'm going to get, right quick, I'm going to get another trap door just for a minute to put on top of there since I destroyed that one. So let's get the trap door. And I'm using the iron one because I think the guards can actually open trap doors. I'm not sure, and I don't want to find out the hard way because that fall would definitely kill them. So we'll just put that right there. Okay, so that is the magical arts tower. It's really beautiful when it's all done, and it will be level with this part of the ground right here. And I'll have to make an entrance on this level for it, as well as the dungeon entrance. Now the dungeon entrance that we just looked at, see we're right over top of that, runs all the way across. This is our prep school for college. And the prep school, we were using these libraries as schools. Minecolonies 14 and 15 now has actual schools. And it's going to be really interesting because the kids now in Minecolonies actually go to school. In Minecolonies 12, which is what this is, only young adults go to school. So they're already grown up when they go to school. So the schools are named differently. This is a prep school. I do have one city that has 3 schools, and they're first and second school, and then they go to university. But you can see by the ground here that this is an original location of a dungeon tower, and the dirt is around the stairwell. So that's where the tower is. I want to connect, and I'm not going to work on it until we get to till we get that finished. But I want to connect the underground tunnel that we're going to have to this building as well. And I think I can do it in this room. See, this room right here isn't doing anything. It's just a hallway that leads to the lunchroom. Hello. Leads to the lunchroom right here with the pizza. They serve pizza here. And because that's a pizza oven, obviously. and so that's all that this little room does. So we could, in fact, where that table is, have a stairway that runs down to the tunnel that is going to lead to the dungeons or lead to the magical arts tower. And I like that. This is the university. I haven't worked on it in a while, but I did do some changes. You can see the chairs are changed. I hadn't noticed that before with that door. That is actually slab. So I will fix that another time. But these are all our teachers and students. Jade actually is the principal, I should say the dean of the university, because this is a university. She's the dean of the university, and then we have teachers and students here in the university, and there's all these little beautiful places where they can study, and then there's this lecture hall or auditorium sort of place here where they can listen to speakers, where guest speakers can come and speak. And then they have a beautiful garden. These hallways are areas where they have libraries in these hallways. This is the courtyard with the garden, and I said beautiful, didn't I? It was. It's become overgrown apparently, so I'm going to have to go out and do something about that. Maybe plant some more flowers and make it pretty. So that is that's the courtyard, and then this leads up to the upstairs study halls and dorms and guest dorms. So like if the university had guest speakers or guest students or something and they didn't have housing yet, they would come up here, and I'll show you in a minute. So these are desks for studying, and they all study in here. And then there's books in all various places and more desks in this area for them. And then this is a sort of dorm room, almost like an emergency room, like if there was a catastrophe or something. And but I call it the Hogwarts. Hogwarts. And sure enough, because it's nighttime and because I am here, I can actually go in, and that one bedroom where the blankets were pulled off and it just had the light sheet on it, this is mine. So I'm going to sleep right here. And I usually end up sleeping in this area from time to time when I'm trying to, but I don't really have to sleep in this area, and I will show you why in a minute. I love this little gazebo. You can't really call it that. It's sort of like a deck, an alcove, an open alcove, but I like this. And so let's see, I think through here, yes, there's another set of stairs that go down this way, yes, and back down to the main floor, and yes, to the pizza parlor there, and then out through this door that we were talking about. But I think we're going to go the other way out so we can go through the garden for a moment, because I actually have, you may hear sounds in the background, and those sounds are from Vincentius Primus. He is awake and he is on his computer. So I don't sleep in Hogwarts as much as I used to, because I actually rented an apartment back here, actually a little townhome. Our builder back in this area, George, had this project where he was going to build these townhomes where the mountain used to be. There used to be, Animal Mountain used to be where these townhomes are, and this is all that is left of Animal Mountain, this hill right here. All of the mountain was taken down because we needed the space in town. The animals that were on Animal Mountain were actually moved to Animal Mountain 2, which is near the bayfront. But this set of duplexes here belongs to Sadie and Daniel. Daniel is upstairs in his complex, but I am living here in this little complex, which is a part of their duplex, and this is my place, which is why I'm not sleeping in the college anymore. So we actually during the week lost the miner in a freak accident. And this is why this mine is closed. We actually lost him. The only thing that I can think is that the stalactite block, the stalagmite block that's in the mod pack, one of the mod packs that we're using, there are stalactites and stalagmites down in the mine, and what I think happened was when you strike, there are actually 3 blocks connected, and when you strike one of them, it removes all 3, and I believe that put him into lava. He was thinking that he was only removing 1 block, but he actually removed the whole thing and fell through. His chosen was a delivery woman named Betty, and she had her delivery hut right here, but after he died, she actually decided that she couldn't live in this area, and the reason why she couldn't live here, I'll show you where she lives. She actually lives right here. She and Nolan Clerk, who used to be the miner, used to live here. And Daniel Clerk is his brother, and Caleb Clerk is his older brother. Daniel is his baby brother. So Caleb brought came in as an orphan. He actually came in as a kid and brought his and when he became a young adult, he sent for his two brothers, and they came in as kids. And for the longest time, Daniel was the only kid that we had, and he stayed a kid for a really long time. But Caleb brought Nolan and Daniel in, and they started the Clerk Brothers stoneworks, stones and ores. So Caleb smelts ores. Nolan was the miner. Daniel, from when he was very little, was fascinated with stone and became the stone mason. And they hired Curtis. I think it's Curtis. We have two Curtises. Yes, they hired Curtis to actually run the stone smeltery with Daniel. Daniel hired a friend, and so this is where Betty's life was all around here, and she was delivering. She owned her own delivery. Now, her delivery was moved to here, to their property, to the Clerk Brothers property right here, from where she originally was, which was over here. And Daniel and well, actually, Caleb convinced Betty that when she had her delivery office right here, Caleb said to her, "But this is such a beautiful place for a house. Why don't you put your delivery over in our industrial area, and you could have a house right here?" And so they built this house specifically for them to live in, and at that time Daniel, baby brother, to live with them. But while the house was being built, Daniel actually met someone, and who he met was Sadie, because Sadie came over to run this bakery. And when Sadie came to run this bakery, this location was the location of a huge dark oak barracks, an actual dark oak barracks. Why was it dark oak? Because when Omo was built, there was no dark oak. There was nothing but the original buildings, and then suddenly dark oak appeared, and the building was gorgeous. And so we built that building. And Sadie's pastry shop was right outside of their building, so she was constantly supplying pastries and coffee to the military who lived and worked there. So Sadie and Daniel chose each other, and they went to live, and they shared this house. So this house is big enough that two couples could live here very easily, and so they were living in this house. But then, and I think it was because both Nolan and Betty have such high demanding jobs that they didn't want to be bothered with a house, especially when they saw these new houses that George was making, this project of making these duplexes. So they actually bought this duplex and moved in here. And when they did, Sadie, not so much Sadie, but Daniel wanted to be with his brothers. He didn't want to live. That, for some reason, seemed too far away, but I think he just wanted to be in a smaller place. He didn't want to have that big place by himself. So he and Sadie moved into this one, and that's how the two couples got over here. Now, and both Daniel and Nolan were raised in this house. This house has been here a long time, and for a long time it was just a plain vanilla for Minecolonies Mesa House. And then as the boys grew up, Caleb became interested in Nora. And Nora is Elias and Jordan's daughter. And Nora we'll show you where Nora lives, why they saw each other on a regular basis. But let me just use this for a minute. I'm just going to use a sleeping bag and just sleep out here on his lawn. But so Nora is a teacher, and she was going back and forth between her house and school. But even when she wasn't a teacher, when she was a kid, she used to hang out in this area, and that's how she and Caleb got together. And when they first got together in this house, when they first chose each other, they slept upstairs, and Daniel and Nolan slept downstairs because they were still young adults, and they slept downstairs. But as they got older and had their own chosen partners, then they moved out. And so after they moved out, Caleb and Nora had redecorated so that they widened the balcony and just gave themselves a little bit more room. And they actually liked this. And one of the things that they took advantage of was a new design of putting the kitchen on an outdoor deck. So this is the savannah. It doesn't rain, so they can absolutely have a kitchen outside. And so on this deck is their outdoor kitchen, which they actually really like because they can still see their property, and it's comfortable for the two of them, and they're still in the neighborhood, and they can still have all of his brothers. Nora can still have his brothers and their chosens. Their chosens come and hang out with them. So that is theirs. So Daniel and Sadie moved out of this house, and when they moved out, this house was vacant for a while, and then Madison, who when she became a builder, she decided to live in this house. And when she moved in, am I going to have to change that? I am. Let me just do this for a minute. Sometimes these things bother me. When she moved in, she was living by herself originally, but then Jacob's chosen Catherine Gray, who is the principal of the first school, was not really recovering well from Jacob's death, living in Jacob's house, in the house that Jacob built for her. And so Madison suggested, especially when the city came to her and said, we would like your property to build the new Enchanting Tower. And so Madison, at first, Catherine was insulted and angry, that they had forgotten him already and all of that. But Madison said, "You're not getting over it. You're not more comfortable with his loss. Why don't you come and live with me?" So she did. She did come and live with her friend. So Catherine uses this room, and Madison uses this room right here. And then what happened was Madison, because she's working across the bayfront, was making housing, and Janet, the tavern owner on the bayfront, does not have any housing yet. And so Madison said, "Look, instead of tracing all the way back to one of the apartments, why don't you just come here and live with us, since there's plenty of room, and until the apartments are built, the houses, I should say, are built on the waterfront." So that's what, so Janet and Madison and Catherine live here. So this is farm country, and this farm right here, that this windmill is a part of. Here's a windmill. Yes. Belongs to Elias and Jordan. And Elias and Jordan are Nora's parents, and they live right here. So this is where Nora was raised. Let me see. I think Jordan is actually her father. Yes, Jordan is her father, and Elias is her other father. So they, when they were raising her, they didn't quite have the funds yet to have the house look like this, but they were working on it, and they tried to get everything comfortable. Since she grew up and left, they have just been living here very peacefully, and that is who they are. Now I see that, and I'm going to have to check on that later. I'm looking at a piece of something, and it's like, is that supposed to be there? I don't know. We'll find out. So yes. So this is Jordan and Elias's house, and they still live here because this is Elias's farm fields. So he has carrots and potatoes, I believe, in this. There might only be potatoes here now, and what's over here. And he has carrots here. And the reason he is growing carrots is because Jordan has a pig farm. And Jordan's pig farm is right here. And this is where Jordan goes every day and works on his pig farm. Now, I just recently upgraded this building. It was, for the longest time, a level 2. I don't want the building to get any bigger, because then I don't like it at the larger ones. And my not liking it is just a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with the design or anything. The buildings are actually beautiful. I just prefer this level of this building. And we don't need that many pigs, so I don't necessarily need the level 5 pig farmer. So I haven't done much in here, as you can see. Every once in a while I think I'm going to come back here and do something, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Why? Because I'm making all sorts of things. I'm making all sorts of things. So let's see. So this is there's Madison reporting in that she's building. We've had we've had four of our builders report in that they're starting projects, which they're going to continue to work on while I am doing this tour. And then on Monday, we'll find out how much they've done and continue with that part of it. So William, this is William's dairy farm. Now, William did not start out as a dairy farmer. He and Parnell were the very first ones into this area, and she started out with a wheat field, and he started out with a cattle ranch. Now, the cattle ranch that he had, I beg your pardon, the cattle ranch that he had sat on this same piece of property, but it became clear that he was less satisfied with having cattle and just wanted to have the dairy part of raising cattle. And in the back here, where the cattle actually are milked, we did make a little alteration to this building so that the cows could come out and be free ranged. And if the cows build up in here, that's exactly what's going to happen. And they did for a while have a thing where the cows ended up in the office, but I think that some parts have been fixed so that they don't go back there recently, but I don't know. And I don't know. I would have to check by being here. And the sun is setting again, and I think because of where I am, I'm just going to go down here and go, and there's Carson. Carson's leaving. I'm actually going to Carson's fish house and go upstairs. Nah, I don't think so. I'm just going to go right here and go to sleep. And there we go. So, yeah, so Parnell and Will started the farm, and so after a while, when Will got dissatisfied with just having cattle, he actually asked Jacob and Alex to build him a new dairy. There's Catherine leaving for work right there. Now, all the cows you see in this field actually belong to William Gill. He's actually free ranging, grass feeding his dairy cows, and he brings them in from time to time so that they can be milked. And we haven't done anything with this, obviously, because it still has torches, but we need to actually get rid of the torches and do some things in regards to having the place look really nice, and getting rid of the torches primarily. So some torches aren't necessarily needed, but I would prefer to have modern lights in there, and Crayfish's ceiling lights is what I like to use for industrial light magic. So so that is William Gill, who has the cows, and Parnell still has this.
Absolutely.
Yes, I will work on it, and yes, she just needed some fertilizer. And yeah, you're probably right.
Oh,
Did
yes, sir. Right away,
I
sir.
will work on it, and That's interesting that it's not going away. So that means that she also needs this to be emptied. Yes, she does. So, just for a moment while we're doing this tour, I am going to empty it. I'm going to take the seeds over to our let's see, what would I like to not have for now? Let's not have this for right now. Over to our composter on the other side of the city. I'm just going to take some of this over to him since we can go back in that direction. So let's just take the seeds and we can drop the pumpkins at Sadies and the wheat at Sadies, or we can drop them at the other bakery. But we're just going to take some things away so that she can use her inventory in her barn. So if we go this way, we'll get back to Sadie's little bakery here. Now, Sadie's Bakery, she's not really worried about her having anybody to come into her shop. First of all, the Clerk Brothers are nearby and they can come in, but also she knows that eventually we are going to build a gate here. Instead of having the tower, the barracks, we're going to have a gate. And the way that happened, and I think I mentioned this before, but this is a soap opera, so I'm going to mention it several times. Madison was at a city hall meeting and she was being a brand new architect. She had been around town and she was saying that famous thing from Aliens where Ripley asked the lieutenant, what do those pulse rifles fire? Remember that? And Madison said, City Hall to the city council, it's like, you do know that your barracks on the border of the city is made entirely out of wood, and that could be burned down with a single flaming arrow. And the city hall was like, did exactly the same thing that the lieutenant did, and began tearing down the wooden ones and refurbishing them and making them all into stone. Now, George is still working on these newer ones right here. He's still working on these, which is why they have wood on them. But when they are done, the ones that have wood, they're going to look like one of the towers over in this direction. We also changed the tower, the Ranger Tower. So this is a night tower. That was probably Betty right there that we just passed, who's taking time. Oh no, that's Rebecca. Rebecca's taking time off too. Both of them are delivery owners, and Rebecca's delivery was in the desert, but she sort of had a different thing happen, that her delivery was located near where a new theater building was going to be built, and the city hall wanted the area for less industrial stuff and more touristy stuff. So she said yes to them tearing down her delivery, with the promise that she is going to be the new postmaster, because George is building her a post office. And we can actually go see it right now. Why don't we do that? So we ended up not taking any. Oh, we have some seeds. We can take them to the composter. when we get there. But we're going to go right past the Combat Academy, and those red dots in there mean that they probably need swords, and they probably need swords or shields. So let's go in for a minute. Usually when they're asking for something, they're usually asking for weapons, and they, sure enough, they are. And they don't need anything like really fancy because they are in practice. This is the practical. Combat Academy is the practical for warfare, for arms warfare, and they are in learning. Jackson actually is the master at arms. He's the teacher in that school. In that part of Omo University. That's actually a part of Omo University. And here is Maureen's little flower shop here. And we're passing George's house. George also, like the clerk couple, Caleb and Nora, George lives in a Mesa design house that has been modified to sort of fit more into the neighborhood. There's Jackson, the teacher. And so since this neighborhood is stone and wood, they changed the designer build to look like this. They personalized it to look like this. So they too, as a matter of fact, I think they might have been the very first to have an outdoor kitchen. That I made this outdoor kitchen for them because of course, the Mesa is really narrow on the inside, but they have this big, beautiful deck. So I thought it would be really fun for them to have an outdoor kitchen. Their deck goes all the way around. I did have some chairs here, and I don't know what happened. They took them away. They took their chairs away. But this is their outdoor kitchen and outdoor dining room. It does not rain. This is the savannah. So this is one of the things that we could do because it doesn't rain here. And upstairs, they widened their porch, their deck, and they got a little hibachi. And this is their view. And it looks like the sun is setting. Yes, it is. So we're going to leave because they're going to come home and want to go to sleep. But this is their bedroom area right here. And we're going to go down and go out of their house before they come. Ah, there's George. So George is going upstairs now. And his chosen, Peyton, will come in a little bit. She's probably just closing up the restaurant, which is called the Acacia Restaurant, which was built by her dad, who is Alex, one of the first four colonists. Built her restaurant here. We only recently took out all the red sandstone. The red sandstone in Chroma Hills looks very rough. And so for the restaurant and the way the restaurant looked, she decided to remodel and make it fancier. And so this is what it turned into. So she likes it and is very happy with the restaurant. Now, I can just cut across here because I can see it from here. Why don't we just cut across and just go ahead and go to our little place right here, and let's sleep. There we go. So yeah, so that is you can hear people having breakfast. So this is a shared fireplace. This fireplace, and I started using the energized. I have a mod that gives you, and let me get a piece of it so I can show it. Enter, no, Nether, Nether, and there it is, Nethered, which is thermal series blocks. They have energized Netherrack, and I prefer it to real fire. It looks like coals burning, and I actually like that for fireplaces. So I replaced the actual fire that was in there, which is burn Netherrack on fire, set on fire. For that, they both will burn a house down. Energized Netherrack, I think, will start a fire. I'm just not interested in finding out. So there was Betty coming home just now to her house. Betty's still packing and getting ready to go over to a new delivery and a new life over at the waterfront. She told the family that she was unhappy and with being surrounded by things of Nolan's, and his family is part of him right now, and they totally understood, and they said okay that they would be there for her, but they understood why she was not staying in the area or in the house that they lived in. So we're going really fast past the Dark Oak Restaurant, and the Dark Oak Restaurant was originally owned by Hazel. Hazel owned it, and she just recently sold it to Susanna, who's not here yet. Shall I call her? It's early in the morning. Sometimes restaurant owners don't come. Oh, there she is. If someone's eating, she's here, and there she is. So there is Susanna. Susanna, who is the chosen of Jackson, actually owns the restaurant now, and the reason Hazel gave it up was Hazel was a chef owner, and then her kids came. Actually, not her kids. William Gomfrey, her chosen's kids came, and William used to have this delivery over here, and they raised their kids actually in a dark oak house that used to sit where this dark oak house is. But this dark oak house has been renovated completely. We took off the leaves, we expanded the rooms on the right side of the house, and this was done just this past week in order, and we thought we were doing it for someone, we didn't know who, but while it was being constructed, Nathaniel, who is chosen with Blanche and who used to live in that house back there, Nathaniel actually kept walking through this house while it was being constructed, like, this house is perfect, I want this house. So as a matter of fact, this used to be William Gomfrey's house, so he actually went to Gomfrey, and Gomfrey said, sure, just be careful. And so he had bought the house from them. So this is the new house that Nathaniel and Blanche live in, and that we will see in days to come. This is the new house. And So Nathaniel and Blanche were very happy about that. Now, Jackson and Susanna live in this house. They raise their kids in this house. Their kids, Oswin, Jade, and Betty. Betty, the one who lost her chosen, is actually Jackson and Susanna's daughter, and they've lived in this house the whole time, but they moved into this house right here. Did I leave that door open? I probably did. It's not a habit to get into. Oh, the upstairs? Yes, I left the bedroom door open. Um, it, so Jackson and Susanna, after she purchased the restaurant, bought this place, and it's in the process of being renovated for them. This is what we worked on this past week, and the kitchen is in, and the refinishings have been done. They just haven't picked any living room furniture yet. And upstairs in the bedroom, I don't think there's any bed. Yeah, there's only the bed so far, except for this room. This is new. We have discovered modern stuff on Mr. Crayfish that has probably been there for 6 months or something. But we didn't know. So look, TV and a TV table. We discovered that you can use clear. I can just take this out and show you that you can use. Can I? I don't know. I don't want to do that. You can use clear glass frames, item frames, and when you use them, it looks like you just hung something up or set something down. It doesn't look like it's an item frame, which is wonderful. And then, of course, we gave them the extra door here so that, and this is their little entertainment room. They got that furnished before they did the downstairs or even put stuff in the bedroom. But this is their new house. Now, this I believe is the old, no, this is the newer version of this house where the stairs go up on this side of the house instead of going up on this wall of the house. And that actually works out really nicely for putting in the kitchen and a dining room in this area, and having this area be the living room, which I really like. So we worked on these two houses last week. This is what I worked on, and I just had fun doing it. I love doing changing the houses out and making them look like this. Now, Nathaniel, this is Blanches Barn. Blanche and Nathaniel, who live now in this house, they work in this neighborhood. So there's Blanche's field. She grows beets, and this is her barn. At least it looks like she grows beets. Those look like beets. No, she's working the potatoes. Blanche, oh, you just have beets in your hand, but you're the potato farmer. It's London who has, but look, London has potato in her hand, and Blanche has beets in her hand. They traded. They must have got bored, and they traded fields. They actually traded fields. That's pretty funny. That's funny. And this is London's barn for her tools and for her supplies. And sure enough, she has definite beets. But since I'm here and I'm heading over to Nathaniel's, I'm going to take all of her beet seeds that are 64s, or at least as many as I can hold, so that I can actually give them to him. I know I'm not really supposed to be doing anything because I'm on a tour, but this is helping us tour, because now we're over in this area, and Nathaniel, I can give him these. Now, I don't put them in the inventory that belongs to the hut because they can be taken away by the delivery people. I put them in his table here, and then see, he goes right away. He's going down and taking them to make compost out of them. And we're just going to go downstairs and go right here. This is, I have to remember that too. I've discovered that they can't use these when they're in between Mr. Crayfish's. They don't recognize them as fence for some reason. Gate, when Mr. Crayfish's pieces are there. Even though those pieces are beautiful, they don't actually recognize that. Do I have some place in? Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm going to Mary Poppins up into the air because the nearest bed is in Cliff's Bottom, which is the fortress that Vincentius Primus built for me when I first started this colony, so that in survival, so that I could be safe and have all the things that I needed in order to build the colony. So this is Cliff's Bottom, and it's interesting because right now at the foot of Cliff's Bottom we are in the process of moving two of our industrial plants, industrial buildings. This is the sifter here, and they have now moved into this area. Now this is a level 4, so that means it's still in the process of being constructed, and the crusher is probably a level 4 too. Let's see, where are the stairs? Here we go. So this is the crusher plant, and this is the Wilson Stoneworks. They do sifting and crushing, and they are in dwarven design buildings specifically so that they could be inside Cliff's Bottom. They used to be over here. I should take this way. They used to be over here where we are in the process of building a new theater complex, and there it is. And so as the last thing that I'm going to show today, this is what we have been working on. So Agnes was like Rebecca, that Agnes had a little tiny bakery shop in this area right here, and she was approached to give it up with the promise that she could have a better spot near the theater complex so that people could have coffee and pastries near the theater. This is the theater, and the theater is the Space Wars town hall design that I am using the pattern from that Space Wars town hall. I am copying it in order to get this building to be a theater. And why am I doing that instead of building a theater? Well, first of all, I don't really build anything, and then secondly, because I love this building. This building actually reminds me of a theater of theaters. It's like an amalgam of theaters in Portland, and that is really fun. So this is the concessions window right here, and that window outside is actually the ticket. Oops, this is real. Is actually the ticket booth. This part of the building actually was not a room. It was just wall in there, but we decided to make it. As a matter of fact, there was a piece of glowstone right in this little opening where I have the iron gate because they're closed because there isn't any theater going on right now. And then down this hall, there's all sorts of different things. This looks like a dress place, a dressing room for actors. So that is what we're thinking about this as while we're doing this. And let me get this, whoops, let's do this for just a sec. So then this room here, and I should explain that the Space Wars is an homage to Star Wars. It's an homage to Star Wars. So they have some really interesting things that are the same as Star Wars. This is one of them. This is actually underneath the chamber where Jabba the Hutt was dropping people down, and the monster was down here. But this is the chamber area for that, and this is the doorway for the monster right here, where his keepers would come, and this is light in that hallway. But this is how they get to that, is from that little room there. Now this is coming up. This is an enchanting room, but this is actually going to end up being like a backstage room for this stage. So there's going to be 2 theater stages. This is going to be one of them, and because this is going to be a stage, we're actually going to take out these trapdoors and put seats in this area, but we're still trying to copy the building, copy it block for block, and so I'm still keeping some areas the way they were so I can recognize them when I put up the pattern. And then this is the main theater, and I just love it. It's the main theater, and it looks amazing to me. I've always, from the first moment I saw it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually a theater. Now, it's a council room in a town hall, but it's a theater to me. And so I spent a lot of time this week putting this ceiling in exactly the way it looks in the town hall specs for this building. And then we have this little opening that we're holding on to right here because we're actually going to build a sound booth right off of this building. We're going to add to this building a sound booth right here. They can see the stage from here, and that's how we're going to do it. I'll figure it out when the building's actually finished being built. And then this too. So this is actually a door. Where did there? This is actually something in the plan, but all I can find is this ladder. It doesn't. There's nothing around this. Even I've dug this out and put the sand back. That there's nothing around that. So are probably just going to leave it as an emergency exit or something. But this area here is the backstage for the theater upstairs, and off in each direction we have a what would you call it? A hole right here, where this is actually going to be where there's going to be ladders, because they can get upstairs to the theater from these holes. And I'll show you. We'll go back up to the theater, and this So actors can come from this direction through, or they can come from this direction through to the theater to have, to make the play. The play is the thing wherein we'll catch the conscience of the king. And I am going to stop there. Next time we come in, we'll look at what I worked on this coming week. But you saw today what I worked on last week. Now, if you want to see how I worked on it or how those things were built, which is fun. I like watching stuff like that, so I hope you do too. You can go out to twitch.com, Ross Lydian, or mixer.com, and I should say, and mixer.com, because I do Twitch and Mixer each day for the city. So on Mondays and Thursdays, I do the city of Omo, this city, on Mixer and Twitch. I do Twitch in the morning and Mixer in the afternoon. So you can see me there if you like and subscribe to those. You will actually get a notification when I am working on these cities. And this is Sunday City Sundays on YouTube. And this is the first of the 3 cities. Later on today, I will do the second and third. So if you get notifications later about this, that's the reason why, because there are 3 cities. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I'm going to say thanks in the chat window. I'm going to say thanks to my constant viewer. Thank you. Thanks to my constant viewer. Thank you so much for being there for me. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. And merci. Merci beaucoup. How's my French going? C'est bon, c'est bon. It's going good. It's just you learn lots and lots of words and you still don't understand the language. But I can read. I can read a lot better than I can listen to conversation. But it's fun to go out on Twitch and Mixer and find people playing Minecolonies in French and listen to them. So thank you. Enjoy your games and enjoy watching all the other gamers. Bye for now. Bye for now.